I have always been skeptical of the claim that the best defense is a good offense. If you think the best defense is a good offense, you're not good at defense. I mean, by definition, the best defense would have to be a good defense. Because whatever that best defense is good defense. So you're using the wrong thing there. And that is what is happening with cybersecurity today. Sadly enough, and this is from Jason Healy at the Lawfare blog. I keep trying to stick an extra L in there. But he's talking about the recent report of the Cyberspace Solarium Commission. And the TLDR of this is when government is looking at cybersecurity and how to protect us from cybersecurity, their focus is not on defending us, it's on attacking people who attack us. And I mean, that's just how they do it, isn't it? That's just what they do. Oh, instead of having our troops actually at home to protecting our borders, they're in 150 different countries or whatever it is, 800 different bases. I don't even know what the number is now. Yeah, stomping around making enemies. So that's, yeah. And this goes into that. Those same concepts of blowback and everything that we've discussed so much on this channel and on the podcast. It applies. It applies here. So it says the report uses hawkish national security language that the federal government and the private sector must defend themselves and strike back with speed and agility and layered deterrence. And that's really what they're talking about. They say this assessment rests on two important questions about American cyber strategy. First, does the U.S. prioritize cyber offense or defense? And second, does the U.S. have a militarized approach to cyber issues looking to the military as the principal actor? And he's saying that the co-chairs who made this report, perhaps the co-chairs have this the wrong way around, and the status quo is characterized by America being more predator than prey. Ask a lot of people in a lot of countries across the globe, I think that's exactly what they'll say. So what they're doing is the stated priorities are, oh, okay, our cybersecurity is vulnerable. We have to have a strong defense. We have to defend ourselves from cyber attack. But they say it is clear the U.S. government prioritizes the military, a fact with important implications for national security policy. So they go through the stated U.S. priority. And this isn't just Trump. This is, going back several presidents. Pretty much back to Clinton, because I think he was the first one to be really concerned about this, but probably the others too. And they say the section, How Did We Get Here, similarly skips, for example, Stuxnet and the Snowden revelations. Stuxnet, if you remember, was the malware that the U.S. government created trying to take down the systems that Iran was using to try and make a nuclear power station. It says the latest defense cyber strategy, though, is built explicitly with a new concept of persistent engagement and defending forward in mind, exposing, disrupting, and degrading cyber activity threatening U.S. interests. So what they're saying is that they're saying all the words they're saying are all about defense, but follow the money. That's what they do. They're looking at the fiscal 2020 President's budget on cybersecurity, augmented with testimony and reports, are clear enough to discern the overall magnitude of funded U.S. priorities. And again, this isn't a new thing with Trump, in case you want to go around blaming him. I mean, yes, blame him because he's doing it too, but it's nothing new, really. Federal cybersecurity spending on civilian departments like the Departments of Homeland Security, State, Treasury, and Justice is overshadowed by that going towards the military. The Defense Department's cyber-related budget is nearly 25% higher than the total going to all civilian departments. The funds to support just the headquarters element, that is not even the operational teams and facilities outside the HQ of U.S. Cyber Command, are 33% higher than all the cyber-related funding to the State Department. Just the increased funding to defense was 30% higher than the total Homeland Security budget. The Defense Department has budgeted 2.5 times as much for cyber operations as CISA. I don't know if they're trying to pronounce that as a word or... The Defense Department's cyber operations have nearly 10 times the funding as the Homeland Security Defensive Operational Element. And the U.S. government budgeted as much on military construction for cyber units as it did for the entirety of Homeland Security. And we cannot ignore what the money is telling us. If the focus were defensive rather than offensive, then law enforcement and Homeland Security funding, especially for federal cybersecurity, would be at least comparable. So they're not really putting a whole lot of efforts into protecting you from cyber criminals. It's just that when a cyber criminal does attack you, well, they're going to get revenge on your behalf. That's this whole policy. It's not prevention at all. You know, they think the threat is going to be prevention, but when has it ever worked out that way? And they do point out that this predates the current administration. And you can read over all this yourself, of course. Again, I'm just hitting the highlights. I don't want to be one of those channels that just ends up reading the entire story, because I think that's just lazy and redundant because you can read it yourself. But I just want to hit the highlights and give my opinion on it. So see if this sounds familiar. Officials publicize the punches the U.S. is taking, but heavily classify those we're throwing. Oh, here's the threats to us, but we're not going to tell you anything about the actions we're doing to other countries. General Mark Milley, in his confirmation testimony to be the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, emphasized this focus. We have to have those offensive capabilities. If adversaries know that we have an incredible offensive capability, then that should deter them from conducting attacks on us. Yeah, name one time that's worked. Yeah. Now, what they say is that everything became war and the military became everything. That's true with everything. That's a war on drugs, okay? We've got this drug addiction problem. Okay, so what's our government's wonderful solution? What did they come up with it? Did it come up with, research on addiction and improved mental health and things like that so they can actually stop people from being addicted and going to normal lives and things like that? And was it on better care for veterans since a lot of them become drug addicts? No, it's war on drugs. And we'll make the drugs illegal and we'll go to war with the people selling them. And so now there are, cartels and everything. Yeah. It's prohibition again, Al Capone and all that. They just never learn. Everything became war and the military became everything. The United States is seeing a wide variety of challenges through a militarized national security lens. Don't they always? The most obvious implication for national security is that more could be done to reduce America's significant cyber vulnerabilities, like let us have end-to-end encryption and not, go freaking out about, all sorts of things that we don't really have to worry about all that much. And if we do, there are other ways of policing them and finding out about them. Yeah. Yeah, this is another thing I keep going on about because policing today just seems to me to be playing with toys. Oh, look, we got all these, toys for, spying on people and, who cares if it violates their Fourth Amendment rights? And, oh, we've got all these sciencey things that we can send to labs and get back. And, oh, look at all of this. And we can weigh them in front of a jury and go, ooh, look, shiny. And they'll go, oh, okay. And then they'll give us a conviction instead of doing actual police work. Actual detective work. A lot of retired detectives are saying that's becoming a lost art. So we don't need it. We never needed it. We got along fine for centuries without the ability to spy on people instantly communicating with each other. So, yeah, go back to the old ways. The old ways work. So within the Homeland Security budget, only 15% is committed to initiatives supporting the private sector. Overall, that's perhaps 1% of Defense Department funding. And it's talking about what they should be doing, which is working towards major political goals, such as getting to zero botnets, creating new organizations to directly collaborate on response and not just share information, and countless other critical civilian cyber tasks. The U.S. strategy should place non-state actors with their unique agility and capabilities at the center of defense and help fund them accordingly. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Yeah. I don't think we can rely on the government, folks. I think we're going to have to do this ourselves. And they say reckless attacks like WannaCry and NotPetya are destabilizing. Oh man, people do not have any clue how Marcus Hutchins saved us from WannaCry. WannaCry could have taken down the entire internet. Right? It would have been the equivalent of a global blackout if he hadn't leapt in to defend people and do what he did. With governments fighting him on it. You know, the government was like, hey, so I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm fine. This is an active attack. You know, and then they arrest him afterwards, and we covered all that. Yeah. But that was crazy. WannaCry was such a huge threat. I mean, you know, sleep at night because, you know, Marcus Hutchins took the bullet for us. But, you know, what about the next one? I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but when. I mean, we're in a pandemic now. You know, how many of you thought you'd live through a pandemic in your lives? Well, pandemics happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. Same with these cyber attacks here. They're going to happen at some point. Either our systems will have appropriate defenses to stop them, or they won't. And that's just all there is to it. We must recognize that adversaries are responding in part to U.S. actions like Stuxnet and those revealed by Snowden, and perceived U.S. actions such as Russian President Vladimir Putin's belief that the Panama Papers were a covert action aimed at him. Yeah, it's blowback. When are we going to learn, people? Blowback is real. It happens with war, and it happens with the war on terror. Well, it happens with cyber attacks too. Why wouldn't it? What would there be to stop it? And I think this is the last bit I'm quoting from him. Yeah, that's the end. There are tremendous risks when a fearsome offense is paired with a weak defense. If adversaries feel a war with the United States may be coming, our having a more fearsome cyber offense makes it more likely they will get in a sucker punch on the U.S. before Cyber Command can bring its big guns to bear. And that's the fear right there. They are not helping us. They are making us more vulnerable. Yeah, I don't really know what more there is to say about that. Other than encrypt all the things. Let's see if we can get Squirrel going as a replacement for usernames and passwords. Let's get end-to-end encryption everywhere we can. Encrypt all the things. That's my mean. Encrypt all the things. Yeah, let's do it. Let's not rely on government. We can't rely on government for that. We have to be building out these secure solutions on our own. Because you see what government's doing. You can't rely on them. You never could. Just like you can't rely on the police. You know, if criminals or rioters or whatever are coming to your home to destroy it. Seconds count, but the police are minutes away. So you need to defend yourself. You know, exercise your Second Amendment right with a firearm. That's a much better way of dealing with this. Well, by the same token, here, it's a much better way of dealing with it for you to have access, free and open access, to secure systems that are publicly verified, open source, and the freedom to use them at will with secure defaults so you don't have to become a cybersecurity expert just to set the right settings. No, we need to be able to do this on our own because government won't do it for us. Thank you so much. As always, hit like, subscribe, and the bell. Any donations at donate.bogosity.tv that you can do is greatly appreciated, even if it's just a few pennies in crypto. You know, it all adds up. It all mounts up. So thank you very much. Until next time, stay strong and be free.